NFR, feel the speed, the thrill, high octane drama can't get off fill. Engines roaring loud, heartbeats on the rise. On NFR, see the sparks in our eyes. Racing through the night, chasing every turn. On NFR, adrenaline we burn. Pit stops and fast cars, it's a wild ride. NFR, in our veins we can't hide. NFR, feel the rush, feel the speed. Formula One dreams, we take the lead. On NFR, we're flying high. Under the lights, we touch the sky. Yeah. Every lap a story, every driver's dream. On NFR, racing's the supreme. Checkered flags waving, champions arise. NFR brings the glory to our eyes. NFR, where the legends are born. Speeding past the limits, engines reborn. In the fast lane, every second counts. NFR, the thrill always mounts. NFR, feel the rush, feel the speed. Formula One dreams, we take the lead. On NFR, we're flying high. Under the lights, we touch the sky. NFR with the rush, feel the speed. Formula One dreams, we take the lead. On NFR lane, every second counts. NFR, the thrill always mounts. NFR, feel the rush, feel the speed. Formula One dreams, we take the lead. On NFR, we're flying high. Under the lights, we touch the sky. You will to NFR, feel the speed, the speed. Sunday night, 6 p.m. Oh yeah, engines roar, lights go dim. Yeah. Drama's high, hearts are race. Feel the heat, feel the pace. Oh yeah, speed and thrill, never slow. Champions rise, they all know. In the night, we come alive. SKR, we will drive. SKR at 6. Feel the rush, feel the kicks. On the track, we survive. SKR, we thrive. Tires burn on the bends. Rivals clash, no amends. Cheering crowd, feel the sound. SKR, world renowned. Dayton's night, under lights. Every turn, every fight. Pulses racing, here we go. SKR, steal the show. Rev it up, race it fast. Living dreams as we blast. On this night, we won't rest. SKR, we're the best. SKR at 6. Feel the rush, feel the kicks. On the track, we survive. SKR, we thrive. SKR at 6. Fix. SKR at 6. Feel the rush, feel the kicks. On the track, we survive. SKR, we thrive. The best. Tires burn on the bend. ends. Burn, burn, rivals clash, no amends. Oh no, cheering crowd, feel the sound. Woohoo! SKR, world renowned. Renowned! Yeah, the best! NFR, it's time to go. Feel the speed, let it flow. Racing hearts, watch them glow. Turn it up, start the show. NFR, feel the heat. Fast and fierce, never beat. Engines roar, can't stay off seats. Catch the thrill, it's so sweet. NFR, NFR. Drama high, stars afar. Round the track like a shooting star. Feel the rush, NFR. Lap by lap, watch them spin. Victory's close, who will win? In our heads, the engine's din. NFR, let's begin. NFR, lights are green. Zooming fast, slick machine. Every twist, every scene. Catch the action on your screen. NFR, NFR, yeah. Drama high, stars afar. Round the track like a shooting star. Feel the rush, NFR. Lap by lap, watch them spin. Victory's close, who will win? In our heads, the engine turn on NFR, the rubber burns. Feel the thrill of every bend, where the champions transcend. Feel the power at NFR, burning tracks, driving far, where the races never end. NFR, only friend. Fernando calls the play on NFR every race day. Commentary sharp and loud, hyping up the roaring crowd. Feel the power at NFR, burning tracks, driving far, where the races never end. NFR, only friend. Now Fernando calls the play on NFR race day. Commentary sharp and loud, hyping up the roaring crowd. Feel the power at NFR, burning tracks, driving far, where the races never end. NFR, only friend. Deaf Queen, the top support to see in the crowd where speed is keen. NFR, the place to be. Join the race, watch and see. Engines roar, the lights are bright. Sunday night, the crowd takes flight. Drama on the curse tonight. SKR feels so right. Speed and skill, hold on tight. Every turn, hearts ignite. Racers chase the checkered flag. No one's pulling any lag. Just race, just drive, SKR alive. Push the limits, feel the vibe. Racers give it all they've got. Sunday night is burning hot. Oh! Oh! Wheels are spinning, adrenaline high. Twists and turns, we touch the sky. Competition fierce and true. Every point's a breakthrough. Wheels of spirit and under stars. Tension thick, no one's far. Destiny is in the driver's hands. Take the lead, take a stand. Just race, just drive, SKR alive. Push the limits, feel the vibe. Racers give it all they've got. Sunday night is burning hot. Oh! Crowds cheering under stars, tension thick, no one's far. Destiny is in the driver's hands. Take the lead, take a stand. Just race, just drive, SKR alive. Push the limits, feel the vibe. Racers give it all they've got. Sunday night is burning hot. Oh! Just burning hot.
Feel the speed, the thrill, high octane drama can't get off fill.
Engines roaring loud, heartbeats on the rise.
On NFR, see the sparks in our eyes.
Racing through the night, chasing every turn. On NFR, adrenaline we burn. Pit stops and fast cars, it's a wild ride. NFR, in our veins we can't hide. NFR, feel the rush, feel the speed. Formula One dreams, we take the lead. On NFR, we're flying high. Under the lights, Sunday night, 6 p.m. Ooh, yeah. Engines roar, lights go dim. Yeah, yeah. Drama's high, hearts are race. Ooh, feel the heat, feel the pace. Oh, yeah. Speed and thrill, never slow. Zoom, zoom. Champions rise, they all know. They know. In the night, we come alive. Oh, SKR, we will drive. Drive. SKR at 6, 6. Feel the rush, feel the kicks, kicks. On the track, we survive. SKR, we thrive. Yeah, we thrive. Tires burn on the bends. Burn, burn. Rivals clash, no amends. Oh no, cheering crowd, feel the sound. Woo-hoo. SKR, world renowned. Dayton's night, under lights. Oh yeah, every turn, every fight. Woo-hoo. Pulses racing, here we go. Oh, go. SKR, steal the show. Show. Rev it up, race it fast, fast, fast. Living dreams as we blast, blast, blast. On this night, we won't rest, rest, rest. SKR, we're the best. Yeah, the best. SKR at 6, 6. Feel the rush, feel the kicks, kicks. On the track, we survive. SKR, we thrive. Yeah, we thrive. SKR at 6, fix, fix. SKR at 6, 6. Feel the rush, feel the kicks, kicks. On the track, we survive. SKR, we thrive. Yeah, we thrive. Yeah, the best. Tires burn on the bends. Burn, burn. Rivals clash, no amends. Oh no, cheering crowd, feel the sound. Woo-hoo. SKR, world renowned. Renowned. Yeah, the best. It's time to go. Feel the speed, let it flow. Racing hearts, watch them glow. Turn it up, start the show. NFR, feel the heat. Fast and fierce, never beat. Engines roar, can't stay off seat. Catch the thrill, it's so sweet. NFR, NFR. Drama high, stars afar. Round the track.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome. Welcome back to NFR. And of course, it's Sunday evening, so more specifically, welcome to SKR. It's Season 9, Round 4, and it's the Chinese Grand Prix in Shanghai. Well, they call it Shanghai, but it's 30 kilometers from Shanghai. Of course, 5.4 kilometer circuit, 16 corners. I believe it's 7 to the left, 9 to the right. Of course, some serious undulation change. Most of that happens at turn 1. Tricky first segment of corners to get right. Circuit where penalties are always on the cards. Of course, the Shanghai circuit, also I believe it was the venue for Michael Schumacher's last victory. That was in 2006. His last season for Ferrari before retiring / taking a sabbatical. Made a surprise return for Mercedes. Many believe he laid the groundwork for what became known as the Hamilton era. A lot of drivers on their outlaps. Very busy race circuit, very busy lobby. Haven't mentioned it till this point, but 20 drivers in the lobby. So it's going to be a very, very busy short quali session. Of course, just the 18 minutes. Some of those have already passed us by, so 15.5 minutes remaining in the session. If you really get a move along, you should be able to get 3 runs in. Really depends how much time you spend in the pits. Convoy going to be one of the first drivers to give us a lap time. Let's bring up some info on your screens. Make sure nobody's messing about on mediums. As you can see, everybody taking it pretty seriously from the first run. Everybody on the soft compound, all 20 drivers. A lot of drivers already on a quick lap. Even more on an outlap, so I believe it's only disguised bear in the pits. 19 of the 20 drivers out on circuit. Very busy race circuit. See the Mercedes running close together. Everybody tonight has their teammate. Sometimes there's always that 1 or 2 drivers in the field missing out. Don't have the assistance of their teammate. Tonight everyone's going to have the assistance of their teammate. First time over the line, or quickest time over the line rather, is Wheeze, followed by Big T, then Andre. Convoy slots into P3, then Martin slots into P4. Andre continues to fall down the field. These are the first lap times, of course. Harsh Cartoon, Virus, 5 and 6. Nicely done by the Mercedes. I wonder if those two were working together and if they're just going to switch positions for the second run. So it's Wheeze at the top of the field so far. More and more drivers coming over the line, setting that order. Wheeze still tops the field, then it's the 2 McLarens, 2 and 3. Martin P4. 2 Mercedes 5 and 6, Ronald 8, Smurf 9, Andre 10, then we've got Pantry Star and Top Gun, the 2 Red Bulls in 11 and 12, Mr. Rem 13, Wakes 14, Chums 15, and Skull the last of the timed drivers. I don't think that was a representative lap. Looks like he backed out of that completely. And we're still waiting for laps from Divan, Spikes and Rhino, those three drivers out on track. In fact, Divan has just returned to the pits without a lap time. We're riding with the Ferrari driver, Spikes. No lap time from him just yet. Saw Divan also out on track with a lap time from him, but he returned to the pits. That suggests he made some sort of error. Spikes and very quick in sector 2. Saw him light up the screen there in purple. Quickest sector 2 we've seen of the evening. Let's keep our eyes on this lap. At the moment, at the bottom of the timesheets, he should get a bit of a nice. He did get a nice toe there from the RB. Let's see what Spikes can come up with in the final stages of this lap. Quickest in sector 2. It's good enough for P4 to 151.6. Still a long way to go if you want to take that pole position away from Wheeze. Very quick lap time from him, 150.5. Ronald, confirmation of no rain. Of course, we've had so many instances of rain on the channel in the last few races. I swear rain was switched on. We'll have no rain tonight. Unfortunately, we can't give you any prediction on the safety cars. A lot of drivers in this field kind of can be a tricky layout, especially on those first few laps when you're waiting for the field to just spread out and settle down. Things can get messy. Things can get just a little bit too busy. So important to keep your head in lap 1. Remember, it's a long race. So easy for things to go wrong on lap 1. Got to keep that nose clean. 2 Red Bulls, 12 and 13. Wheeze already on an outlap, looking to go and defend that lap time. Big T, his closest compatriot to 130.9, the only other driver in the 130s. He's in P2 and in the pits. This is teammate of Big T, Convoy, 31.4, half a second between him and his teammate at the moment in P3, looking to get himself onto that front row. He's going to have to do a lot to get ahead of Wheeze. Over a second between him and pole position. We've seen times much closer than this in the past, but tonight a difference of 1 second, 1.1 seconds in fact, between P1 and 3. So if you guys are really going to close up these lap times, it's all sorts of havoc out on track. We see some cars going over the grass, just trying to get out of the way of others. Big T is on an outlap. He won't be too concerned for now about those cars ahead of him. Just got to make sure you've got enough space. Of course, that driver ahead of you might also look for a little bit of space back up into you. Got to make sure you've got all the track position you need in that quali lap. You don't want to run into anybody. Sometimes it's as much fault of the car ahead as it is the car behind. Just didn't manage that gap. Just didn't anticipate the traffic. So far, quickest man on track. Read that lap time incorrectly. Said it was a 130.5. In fact, it is a 130.9, so nothing in it on the front row. I do apologize to Big T there, saying he was pretty off the pace. In fact, he's not pretty off the pace. That's a very good lap time. So it's Wheeze and Big T, the only two drivers in the 1 minute 30s. They're high minute 130s, 130.9. Then it's Conboy, half a second adrift. Welcome to Dixie Killer. Welcome to Visor, Death Queen, Ronald. I believe it's Free is here. As well as Skull. Everybody in the comment section, thank you so much for joining. Thanks for supporting the channel. So many familiar names showing up every Sunday. Great to have you. Wheeze in the meantime has gone quicker at 130.7, so he's moved the goalposts another 2/10. Big T's gonna have to find a little more. It's not out on track as we speak. Big T in the pits. This is his teammate in P3, 131.0. That is much closer now to the front row. Just needs that little extra. Get himself into the 1 minute 30s. Still enough time for a third run. All of these drivers will be getting back to the pits for that third run. This is Ronald, one of these Salvers, currently in P10 at 152.6. Look just behind him, there's his teammates, slingshots past him. Two Salvers working together just to help a little bit with the slipstream, get that little bit extra out of the car. That was Ronald helping Chums, and Chums does improve, not by much, goes up into P17. Ferrari of Mr. Rems still languishing in P18, we'll be looking to improve on that, currently sitting in the pits. The Skies 19, Rhino P20. This is a lap we want to keep our eyes on. This is Big T, currently in P2. His best time of 130.9. This is an out lap. See how much more he has in his pocket. Current best is a 130.7. He'd need to find almost 3/10, say 2.5/10. I can guarantee you that's not the end we've seen of Wheeze. He's going to come out and defend that lap yet again. His first lap time was a 130.9, then he improved to a 130.7. I think he might still have a little extra. This is Big T. But that is slightly quicker in sector 1, 8,000ths of a second up on the pole time in sector 1. It's all about holding it together for the rest of the lap. Quick in one sector, like you quick in two sectors, it's not going to help you. You need to be quick in all three of them. He's gone even quicker in sector 2, finds another 10. It's just 8,000 quicker in sector 1, down to 10th in sector 2. How much more does Big T have here in sector 3? Sector 3 is all about this long back straight, 1.2 kilometers of it. All about getting this braking point correct, obviously getting the best possible launch. It's a long straight in itself, comparing to the predecessor there. Do that the mini straight, and then followed by the main straight. That's sector 3, all about top speed, and that is the quickest lap we've seen. It's a 130.6. We will get a response from the Aston Martin. Wheeze already out on circuit, just over 3.5 minutes remaining. I'm not sure if Big T's going to be able to squeeze in that third run. Might be a little touch and go. Someone who won't have any trouble getting in that third run is Wheeze. Currently in P2. He's led the session throughout. Big T has just betted him, 130.6. Went and found an extra 10th. Now Wheeze has to respond. He's not interested in finishing P2, or starting P2 rather. Wants to start from the front of the field. very technical first couple of corners. On lap 1, lots to be out front. Leave all that havoc behind you. Oh, and that's not going to help. That's not going to help at all. That may be the biggest understatement in my commentary. That's not going to help. Went into the corner. There was a car in the way. I just don't think that car really was there. Of course, Reed's not only impeded, but to jump out of that completely. I'm not sure if he's got enough fuel to do a second run. Usually on that third run, after running on fumes. Big T just returning to the pits now. 2 minutes remaining. I don't think he's going to have enough time to get back out there. The pit crew can take a lot of time to get you in and out. It's Faree, who's present in the comment section not so long ago. Second Aston Martin. That's all McLaren and Aston Martin at the moment. McLaren, Aston Martin, McLaren, Aston Martin in that order. Bosch Cartoon in P7. He's getting support from Visor, or is Visor being mean? I can't tell. Big T has called time on his session. Rees won't be able to improve. Convoy is on an outlap. It's Faree getting a bit of a toe. See if he can put himself up onto that front row. If he does, he's going to push his teammate down onto the second row. See what he can do around the final corner and over straight. It's Faree from P4, 131.1. Is that leading up? Or he didn't improve. He's already done a lap on those softs. There was no improvement. Pantry Star, P8. Those Red Bulls were floundering earlier on in the session. So they'll be happy to have one of those cars at least a little further up the field. Virus, P9. Then Ronald, Smurf, Top Gun, Andre, Rhino, Divan, Skull, Awaits, Chums, Mr. Rem, and Disguised. Top 2 have been settled. Convoy can't do much about it. What about it's Faree? He's currently in P4. Well, Spikes on an outlap. He did get over the line to start a quick lap, so that Ferrari will have one more run. Martin also out on track. Convoy session has come to an end. He's going to finish no higher than P3. Let's see if it's Faree can take that P3 away from him to possibly still steal a front row right at the end here. Of course, that would be at the cost of his teammates' front row. And there's going to be no improvement from it's Faree because his ERS is fully charged up. So he's backed out of that completely. There is no more time in the session. It's just the guys that are out there. Everybody else, their session has come to an end. They can change their focus to the race. Both Ferraris leaving things late. You can see them there, line astern. Mr. Rem in P20. Spikes in P5. Spikes, Mr. Rem rather, is going to be the first of those two Ferraris to go over the line. Activates DRS, opens up that battery. We'll be looking at it and going, oh no, it's going to run out before the end of the lap. It'll be braking point. And onto the mini straight. And left onto the main straight. You see people retire around that corner, and as I say it, well, I shouldn't have said it, should I? I am the commentator's curse. Spikes finishes in P6. No luck for his teammate. He's gonna have to start at the rear of the field. If you didn't think commentator's curse was a thing, well, you're not gonna get a better example of that. Exactly. Lol. So that is the end of qualifying. Of course, it was a short quali, just the 18 minutes. No eliminations, no further rounds. We're going straight into the race. If you're not happy with your position, well, there's not much more you can do about it now. 20 drivers in the field. If you're starting at the back, it's going to be a challenging race. You're going to have to hope for something special to happen in the race. We've already had confirmation that there will be no rain. So in stoppages in the race, the only thing I can imagine the guys at the back would be hoping for is multiple safety cars, or for the drivers out front to get lots of penalties. Having said that, you got to make sure that you yourself are not in that penalties column. We're back looking at the empty pit lane, all the cars to the left hand side of your screen right now. Of course, they will be doing final preparations for the race. Setups will be locked in. Park for May is set. So can't be changing your setups at this stage. Maybe a few fine changes to the front wing, things like that, things that are allowed. But for the most part, setups will be locked in. Drivers will know exactly what they want to do. It's all about what tire are you going to start on? How deep into the race do you intend to go? You could start on the soft, anticipating an early safety car. Or you could go on the hard, going as deep into the race as possible, and then having the advantage of the softer compound towards the end. Some will stop once, some will stop twice, others will stop way more times than intended. We get the dual green lights. That is confirmation of a formation lap. The drivers are going to have one more opportunity to drive around this layout, get a feel for the car with a heavy fuel tank. Of course, it's going to feel a lot different than it did in qualifying. In qualifying, you're running on absolute fumes, running on the best tire available. Here we go, one stop or two stop predicted. Not sure about how that two stop works, but this game likes to throw oddballs at us. Nobody in the field starting on the soft compound. That suggests the soft can't get very far around this circuit. Sometimes you'll still see drivers at the rear of the field going for the soft compound, hoping to make up crucial positions at the start of the race. Nobody's gone with that choice today, so that tells me the soft is pretty useless around here when it comes to how many laps you can do. Nobody choosing to start on the soft. Pretty even mix between the medium and the hard compound. Towards the front though, Big T on the mediums, everyone else in that top 5 on the hards. Top 5, hards, the favoured compound. The next 5, mediums, the favoured compound. It's going to be interesting. Some drivers are going to have that slight advantage of a little bit of extra grip in the beginning of the race. Those same drivers are going to have the disadvantage of having their tyres fall off before everybody else. Convoy, DSQ. Do not worry, he's not disqualified from the race, he's just disqualified from the formation lap. But in order to finish that formation lap, you need to park your car correctly. So if you got that parking wrong, you get a little DSQ notification. There's another one for Divan. Once the car just gets pushed back slightly in its box, slight disadvantage for the driver. Not a great camera angle, so we'll just stay on board with the Aston Martin. And here your red lights, can't see them, but we'll be underway in a moment. Here we go, Aston Martin versus McLaren. We wait for a better camera angle. There we go. McLaren from Aston Martin, and then McLaren from Aston Martin. They keep that order 1, 2, 3, 4. Then it's Martin in P5, Spikes P6, Pantry Star P7. Very, very close here on lap 1. Snakes left and right in this first sector, and be very complicated, like I said, in qualifying, just until the race settles down a bit, until everybody gets into their groove. Some of those hard runners, they'll just be struggling for a little bit of grip, trying to get those tyres up to temperature. It's going to take them a little longer than the medium runners. Means in these initial stages, Big T should have the advantage. All of these drivers so close in pace. But of course, if you're on that harder compound and you're able to just stay in DRS of that medium runner, you're really taking any advantage he would be getting out of those mediums and cancelling it. Starting on the softer compound, you need to get out front and you need to open up the gap. And in order to do that, first, you need to break DRS. Convoy and Wheeze. Don't know if they touched there or if Convoy just outbroke himself. He's gone down to P4. That means the Aston Martin's now 2 and 3. Big T leads after lap 1. It's that purple lap, of course, but we're going to see that come down somewhat by the time this race is over. Of course, these cars will get lighter and lighter as the race goes on, and after that first pit window, so much lighter car and a fresh set of tyres, that's when we start to see fastest laps, unless anybody decides to come in at the end for a set of soft. That would take RB19 domination. At the moment, we don't see any evidence of that. Remember, we said Big T needed to break DRS. It's almost done that. 9.5 tenths of a second is the gap, and it's just popped over a second. So Big T, getting the initial advantage on the Aston Martins, needs to make the most of this gap, needs to make the most of these mediums. Wheeze coming under pressure. You see that McLaren getting further and further away, trying to get on the power, trying to chase down his opponent. Got on the power a little too early, lost himself another 6 tenths per second around that corner. Now Convoy, don't know where he came from. Seems like he got past it's free. Now he's challenging the second Aston Martin. Trading places between McLaren and Aston Martin, of course all 4 Mercedes powered cars. Good day for Mercedes in the engine department. As for the manufacturer, they're in P7 and P16. That's Virus and Half Cartoon. See Visor's Harsh Cartoon's biggest supporter. Visor supporting the Mercedes team this evening. Mercedes team down in 7 and 17. The Virus has made up another position. He was in P8. Big T, Wheeze, Convoy. Saw Wheeze just lose a lot of momentum on that last lap. Going into this corner over here, ever since then, it's just been falling back. There's no notable damage to that car, or visible damage to that car. But he's been going backwards ever since. 3.7 seconds. The moment he got out of DRS, that gap has tripled. In fact, it's quadrupled in the space of a lap. Convoy can see his teammate getting up the road and he wants to clear these Aston Martins. He has now cleared the Aston Martins. It's McLaren 1-2, Aston Martin 3-4. Not quite sure what happened to Wheeze there. Maybe just went off circuit, or of course he lost a little bit of momentum around that corner. Maybe we didn't see on camera. Maybe he went onto the grass at some point. But now Wheeze says, "Oh no, McLaren, we're not going to do that. Not a 1-2. takes that position back, spoils the brief McLaren party at the front all of the time. This just helps your leader. The gap is 4.5 seconds. Convoy actually doing his teammate a bit of a favor here. Fighting for P2 with the other hard runners. That will do, just slows them down a little bit. You're looking in your mirrors, you're defending, or you're attacking. You're just not able to focus on Big T up the road. Focus on that 4.8 second gap. Of course, spend too much time in the mirrors. The next time you look up at the gap, it's not 4 seconds anymore, it's gone up to 5 and then 6, and things can get out of hand pretty quickly. Convoy, unknowingly maybe, doing his teammate a favor at this stage in the race. As for its Ferrari, well, he's fallen back a bit, has he? No, he hasn't. There he is. He's right there with his teammate. I'm just getting confused. There's too many cars that look the same. Of course, no stoppages in the race. Crucial for all of these drivers that there are no stoppages in the first stint of the race. Most of these drivers starting on a hard compound, some of them starting on a medium. They'll be looking to go deep into the race. Any sort of early safety car is going to disrupt that entire strategy. Some drivers will come in, some will stay out and hold on to track position. It will flip this entire field. So nobody will want an early safety car. Maybe a few of those drivers at the back wouldn't mind one. Big lock up there from the McLaren. Convoy coming under pressure. He's still got those two Aston Martins close behind him. Gap to his teammate, 5.5 seconds up the road, so Big T continues to stretch that gap. Said if you're going to start on the softer of the tyres available, first thing you needed to do was get into the lead, break DRS, and then open up that gap. He's doing all of that step by step. Lead of the race, broke DRS, now 5.5 seconds up the road. While his nearest competitors are in a tight battle. Perfect conditions for the leader. Gap has just stabilized somewhat at 5.5 seconds, and now Rees goes past the gain as he holds on to it. One thing getting down the inside, it's quite another getting the car stopped once you've done that. He's done a good job this time round. With the straights on this circuit, this time it means Convoy's going to get a chance at DRS. He's not going to be able to come back, but who's going to come back is it's Ferrari. Thought about it, just backed out at the last moment. I think he realized it was destination McLaren, and it's Ferrari just got out of that. We almost got a Aston Martin nose cone in a McLaren side pod. Would have been disastrous. Don't want to see this race decided by crashes. We don't want to see this race decided by penalties, and we don't want to see it decided by safety cars. And so far, everybody well behaved. Started with 20 drivers, lap 6, still have 20 drivers, and no penalties in the field. Big T. That gap hasn't grown any further. 5.5 seconds. Now Rees in P2. He's had enough of messing around with Convoy, and his teammate knows he needs to get on with it. This next stint of the race needs to start reeling Big T back into it. But the more he battles with his teammate, the more he battles with this McLaren, the more he's not able to focus on that leader ahead of him. So Rees did get into P2, and then he opened up that gap to 9/10 of a second. The gap now 3/10 of a second. Shows you the power of DRS around this circuit. You can do so much work to open up that gap, and then the cars just come right back at you. Then Convoy, then it's Ferrari. A little further back from that trio. Spikes in P5. He's in a trio of his own. He's leading a trio of his own. Virus just behind him in P6. Then Ronald P7. We've got a bit of a gap. Pantry Star in P8. Martin attacking him just behind in P9. Got the Williams of Andre, P10. Skull not far behind in P11 in the second Williams. Then the second Red Bull and Top Gun, P12. No, he's a quicker driver than that. He's driving out of position. Smurf and Divan, the RBs, 13 and 14. We've got a Wakes in P15. That's the Rem. Making some nice progress in the race. Remember, he started in P20. So he's already made up a few positions. Then Rhino P17, Chums 18, Harsh Cartoon 19. And then Disguised at the rear of the field, and it seems like he's made an early pit stop. Big T, 6.4 seconds. I said that gap had just stabilized at 5.5. But then Conboy and It's Free coming back at Wheeze. And all of a sudden that gap a second larger than it was a lap ago. It's Free in P4. Probably wants to also get on with this, work with his teammate. Use DRS, use Slipstream, try and catch Big T ahead of them, but they're not able to work as a team if they've got a McLaren sitting in between them. And that's what Conboy's doing. It's just taking this race away from Aston Martin a little bit, handing it to his teammate. Fantastic drive from the McLaren and Aston Martin teams. Next best is the Scuderia Ferrari of Spikes, currently in P5. Ronald not far behind him, and Virus following closely. Second covering those three cars. This is Pantry Star. He's currently in P8. Martin P9 and Andre P10, last of the points paying positions. But out front, it's been one man ever since he broke DRS. He's just been opening up this gap. Got a really big gap initially. Now it's just been going up slightly, trickling up every lap, as his main rivals have their hands full with his teammate down the road. Of course, Wheeze, Conboy and It's Free all in the same race, all started on the hard compound of tyre, all on the same strategy. Big T, he went for the medium tyre, hoping to get the better start. It worked out for him, and he's maximised on it. 6.7 seconds is the gap. He's going to have to be the first of these cars to pit, of course. We now have a caution in sector 2, and it has disappeared, so that was just somebody going slowly or somebody being on the grass a little too long. Big T from Wheeze, 6.5 seconds. We've got Conboy in P3, still amongst those Aston Martins. Doesn't have the pace to get ahead of them and go in search of his teammate. He's got enough pace to stay with them, annoy them just enough. They're actually starting to close the gap. Did Big T make some sort of an error? 6.4 seconds is the gap. Closer to 7 seconds not so long ago. When can we expect that first pit window? 28 lap race. Some of the cars started on hards, some of them started on mediums. Now we see very few medium runners in the field, so I think some of those medium runners are already starting to come in. We only have 5 medium runners remaining on the circuit. It was a pretty even split when we got started. 100. Those mediums are already starting to go off. Lap 10 of 28. Drivers are hoping to still get another lap or two out of these mediums. The only drivers on mediums that started on mediums: Spikes, Ronald, Pantry Star, Virus, and of course your leader. Everybody else that started on the medium compound has since gotten rid of them. Leader on mediums, the next three on the hard compound. That means one of those cars has... no. All three of those cars still on the hard compound. Wheeze, Convoy, and It's Free. See when these medium runners do come in. This is Spikes, followed by Ronald, followed by Pantry Star. None of those medium runners coming in. They're all following each other through that final corner. Everyone who still driving with the tyre they started on, they've done 10 laps on those tyres. The hards will still be pretty comfortable. The mediums will starting to feel touch and go. We'll start to feel a little bit of slipping and sliding here and there. And progressively, that slipping and sliding will get a little bit worse. And it'll become a more consistent factor. It won't just be one or two corners you're slipping in. It will start to become the entire circuit. You want to pit before that happens, because when that happens, you're going to be losing an incredible amount of time. So you've just got to be able to judge when those tires are going to fall off, and you want to pit just before they do. 6 seconds between Big T and Wheeze, so the gap has come down 5.9 seconds now. I wonder if Big T will respond by coming into the pits. Looks like he is just losing a little bit of time now on the mediums. How much longer will he stay on that set of tyres? Will he stretch it another lap or two? Will he see him dive into the pits? Well, goes around the final corner, he's going to stay out there. They'll throw the gap a little, 6.1 seconds. Briefly still back into the fives. Maybe that McLaren is still comfortable out front. This is 3 on his teammate. And then Convoy still wreaking havoc on the 2 Aston Martins. 3 has gotten by though. They're no longer sandwiching that McLaren. Now they have the opportunity to try and get away from it. But Convoy can't let that happen. Now Big T. Just getting a tyre on the gravel there. I wonder if he's starting to feel those tyres. Awakes, gets a penalty, 3 seconds. Didn't actually notice the penalties until now. We've got 3 drivers on penalties. Hopefully nothing too serious, just 3-second penalties for those 3 drivers. Nobody getting any pit infringements. Those can be real killers, 10 seconds at a time. Really hurts you, it gets added on to your next pit stop. And if you don't pit, it's added on at the end of your race time. Wheeze in P2, 5.8 seconds. It's Free in P3, then Convoy. They've been close together throughout. Ronald in P5. He's no longer battling Spikes because Spikes has come into the pits. Martin in P6, then Andre. He's come up the field quite nicely as the rest of the field have pit. He's in P7, then Top Gun P8, Spikes P9. Pantry Star now making up the top 10. First of the 2 Mercedes, Virus, he's just made a pit stop, he's in P11, then Divan P12, Skull 13, got a Wakes 14, Rhino 15, Chums 15, Smurf 17, Mr. Rem 16, Harsh got 19, and we've just had our first retirement. I think it may have even been a retirement in the pits. Disguised Bear from P20, he's retired from the race. But as you can see there, he had a brand new set of mediums, 0 laps. I wonder if he just retired in the pits, called it a day. Just not having the Sunday evening he was hoping for. called it a day in Shanghai. Of course, we continue to give the majority of the footage to these three. 2 Aston Martins and 1 McLaren in between them. Wheeze. Convoy. He slithered his way back in between those Aston Martins yet again. They would have been quite relieved to have both gotten past him just not so long ago. Try get away from him. Said he couldn't let that happen. He hasn't let that happen. Got DRS. Wasn't close enough for a lunge. Nowhere near close enough for a lunge. He keeps on applying that pressure. 6.2 seconds. To Big T in the lead, who's coming to the pits. The leader in the pits. Of course, in the game, only the driver can determine whether that's a good stop or not. Depends if you get it in the purple on the turn-in. So you don't have to be too worried about that pit crew making a mistake. Drivers always want more realistic, but I don't think anybody would be too happy about coming into the pits and one of the wheels just gets stuck. You'd end up sitting there for 10 seconds. I don't think anyone would like that. And the steward's room would go nuts. Now the leader of the race. That will sound good to him if he's listening to the stream, but he knows it's only because Big T has already made a visit to the pits. He'd be liking to make the most of this time now. Because he started on the hards, he's going to go deeper into the race than Big T. This is the time you want to be putting in big lap times. Fortunately for him, still coming under pressure from Convoy and his teammate. He's not able to just concentrate on those fast lap times. He needs to keep an eye on the mirrors. He needs to keep one side of his mind on the defensive. Just doesn't help. This is the leading horse, Martin. Very strong race for him so far this evening. He hasn't really challenged the leaders, but he's held on to that place. He's made it his own. Currently in P5, Andre also having a pretty solid race. Didn't start very high up in qualifying. Started on the hard compound, had the intention of going deep into the race. He's done exactly that. I've seen no stoppages in the race. And these three, well, they haven't even had a stoppage in battle. These three have raced each other like it was a 5-lapper for the entirety of the race. We're 15 laps into the race. These three cars are no further apart than they've been at any point in the race. They haven't left each other's DRS. It's been pretty impressive. If that was a battle for the lead, it would be pretty spectacular. At the moment, really a battle for P2. Convoy gets past both Aston Martins now. He's the new leader of the race for the first time in this race. His teammate has led a majority of it. Now we've got the other McLaren at the front. And he's actually come into the pits a little earlier than I expected. He was on the hard compound, just went about 2 laps further than his teammate. Convoy into the pits. It's Ferrari into the pits. Wheeze, the man who has to stay out there, do another lap. Of course, the 2 Aston Martins. It's one of the disadvantages of being so close to your teammate. If you're able to match your teammate on pace, that's one thing, but if you happen to be next to each other on circuit, it becomes an issue. If you have the same strategy, you can't really pit on that same lap. One of the cars will be at a serious disadvantage. We've decided to stay out for another lap. Wonder how those hards are feeling, if everything still feels good, or if this extra lap is going to compromise him a little. Remember how close those 3 cars were. Now now after the pit stop. We'll see how close they are. That's where you'll see maybe staying out one lap extra could have cost you. Maybe it worked for you. A bit of a roll with the dice. Big T, he gave things his own way because he opened up that gap early on. He was able to pit before everybody else, and now he's just waiting for these drivers ahead of him to pit one by one. Gap between Big T and Weeze is 10 seconds. You're going to lose about 20 seconds in the pit stop, so that gap will have grown from 6 seconds to 10 or even more, because Weeze is staying out there. I wonder if he's staying out there to try and stretch for a set of softs. Is that a bit of a stretch on my behalf? How long can you make a set of softs last around this circuit? Unfortunately, we still have a very full lobby, so none of the drivers are in the comment section, so they're not going to be able to give me that information. I wonder how many laps one could do on the soft compound, but I think even if you stretch these hards until lap 20, would the softs really do 8 competitive laps? Worry about that anymore, because Weeze has since come into the pits. As you can see, they have lost time. They've lost a bit of time. Convoy now comfortably in second. Remember, Convoy was with those Aston Martins. Now you can see those Aston Martins firmly down the road from him. So McLaren looking at a 1-2. If they can hold the second stint of the race together, those Aston Martins need to work together. Catch back up to Convoy and try and reclaim their P2. Andre having a good race so far in P5, but he's yet to pit. And he's going to lose about 20 seconds when he does. We saw a bit of carbon fibre there in the bottom of our screens. Hopefully that wasn't the case. Gary eventually does come into the pits, runs a little bit wide there on the third entry. That's not important. What's important is that to get it slowed down before that speed limiter line. This is for Williams. His teammates already made a pit stop. This is the last of the drivers that were still driving around with the tyres he started on. So left it very late for the pit stop. He's going to be able to come out in the top 10. I think he is. Andre comes out in P10. Was in P5. Ahead of him he's got Martin on the road, then Virus, Pantry Star, Ronald, and Spike still having a fantastic race. In P5, best of the rest. So far it's been all about McLaren and Aston Martin. Spike's flying the Ferrari flag, and flying it high. That's for Mr. M. Doesn't seem to be enjoying this China layout too much. Started at the rear of the field, now up to P12. I think he also had to make an early pit stop on those mediums. Things not going the way of that second Ferrari driver. It's McLaren 1-2, Aston Martin 3-4, then a Ferrari in P5, Ferrari powered Sauber P6, Red Bull in P7, with Mercedes of Virus in P8, Martin P9. Goes to the Williams in P10, Andre. Second Williams just not having the pace today. Seen good results out of Skull. Seen pace out of that driver. We've seen him match his teammate lap for lap. Just not sure what happened to him in this race. If things just got messy amongst the other cars, or if he simply just didn't have the pace. Happens for certain drivers at certain layouts. Just not a fan. We're talking about the 1-2 for McLaren. Well, it doesn't look so certain now, does it? Convoy starting to come under pressure. Wees just half a second back. It's Veree. He hasn't been able to make up that same amount of ground as his teammates, so it's Veree's just been left behind a little. Wees has got on with it. Wants his P2 back. Of course, he's on the medium compound, as is Convoy. Convoy's just got one extra lap on those mediums. Will make no difference at this stage. So they're on 2 and 3 laps, respectively. Maybe a little later on in the race, when you're approaching 9 laps, 10 laps, could make a difference. That 1 lap advantage that Wees has on his tyres. All sorts of trouble there between Wees and Convoy. Got a car ghosting. Yes, it is. There we go, that's why I was getting confused. Thought Wees went into the back of Convoy and nothing happened. In fact, it was just a ghost car. Even though the car is ghost, then makes things a lot easier to lap. Still takes a bit of attention away from the driver, can be quite distracting, especially if that ghost car has a bit of pace and you're not able to just clear it, stays there for a lap or 2 longer than you'd like. Just like that. Alters your view a little bit, looking towards the apex of the corner, you're looking towards your braking point. All of a sudden you've just got this thing in your view. It might just be blocking few things that you're looking for on circuit, maybe a brake marker, or getting in the way. All of a sudden a silly mistake. It is the much better option if the cars don't ghost. We've seen very bad things happen. Seen leaders run into back markers. That's not the sort of thing you want to see, and that's not the way you want to see a race decided. That's the option we've gone for. Of course, not that easy to clear them. Seems like that car has been cleared now. No sign of the Mercedes. Wees, Convoy, it's Veree. So Wees did get ahead of the McLaren, and it seems like he got past him pretty easily because now he's opening up that gap. 0.7 of a second is the gap. Got past and opened up a bit of a gap. Convoy should have DRS, so he should be able to pull a little bit of this back. As for its Veree, just hasn't been able to stay with them. Was able to match his teammate lap for lap on the hard compound. Hasn't been able to match him on the medium compound. Just shows certain drivers don't enjoy certain compounds as much as others. Don't think there's any damage. No, there's no damage on that Aston Martin. It's just coming down to pace. I think also that assistance of staying within DRS. Make a little mistake here and there, it doesn't really matter because you pull so many tenths of a second back down the straight. Once you're out of DRS, all those little mistakes start to add up. You look up at the time difference. There's not much you can do. It's lap 22 of 28. This race has been going by very quickly. No stoppages in the race, very few penalties in the race, just 3 drivers on penalties, Top Gunner, Wakes and Divan. I believe those are all 3-second penalties. Just to get an update, they're all 3-second penalties indeed. Started with 20 drivers, lap 22, we're down to 19 drivers, so we've just lost the one. He did not retire on circuit, so there was no need for a stoppage in the race. It's been pretty much start to finish. Big T. Wees has now effectively broken the DRS between him and Convoy. So his next target will be the 7.1 seconds ahead of him. It's going to be a very tall order. Only 6 laps remaining in the race. You need to find a 7-second gap. It's going to be just over a second a lap. Don't think he's gonna be able to pull that off. Of course, Big T is on the hard tyre, so his tyre will feel better at the end of the race than those medium runners behind him. It's Veree, 1.8 seconds adrift from Convoy. And now that Convoy's lost that DRS from Wheeze, it's Veree will be licking his lips, looking at a 2 and 3 for Aston Martin, very much on the cards. If he can just reel that McLaren in. P5, lonely race, Spikes, doing a good job, just wants to bring this car home now. Could be a good result, considering what names are ahead of him. And Ronald was in P6, but for how much longer? Pantry Star, very aggressive around the outside, but he manages to get it stopped. Fantastic driving from both drivers in order for there to be no contact there. Pantry Star managed to get it stopped, and Ronald gave him all the space he needed. I can bet you he will come back at it. We've got a caution late on in the race. And what have you done? We have a late safety car. Skull is the result of that safety car. Or is the cause, rather, of that safety car. We're down to 18 drivers. We get our first safety car of the evening, and will probably be our final safety car of the evening, because it's come very late on in the race. Of course, this is just going to make things a little bit complicated, and if you're the driver at the front, you will be cursing in your helmet. Good thing we don't have Big T in the comms box, because he probably would have said some pretty mean things. He had a 8-second gap, just needed to bring the car home, certain victory on the cards. Now he's going to have to come into the pits. He's going to probably put on a set of softs if he's got softs available. Yes, he does. You're going to see the rest of the field do pretty much the same thing if they have softs available. And then of course, safety car is still going to stay out there for another lap or two. It's going to bring this whole field together. It's going to cancel out all these gaps. Unless you're a lap behind, then, well, you're going to stay a lap behind. As for anybody else, gaps are going to get closed up. You could change a P10 to a P7, or change a P3 to a P1. Even if somebody's dominated the race, it's really not going to matter. That second stint of the race, it's going to be a race of its own. It's going to be more like a 5-lapper that you'd play in an open lobby. Everything that's come before doesn't really matter. All that matters is that you're on the best set of tyres available to you. You've got very little fuel in the car, and you're basically going to go out and do 3 or 4 quali laps till the end of the race. Of 28. Frustratingly, we're behind the safety car. We almost got through this race without any of them. Now we've got a late safety car. I say frustratingly, but all the drivers at the back, they would be very happy with this. One final throw of the dice. If you found yourself right at the back of the field with a massive gap in front of you, no hope of improving a position, all of a sudden that has changed. Now you can improve your position. You might improve more than just one position, maybe a handful. At the restart there could be a mistake in front of you. Lots of positions on hand, lots of points available. And if you were Big T at the front dominating the race, you'll know any sort of mistake here at the restart, all that domination could come down to nothing. Start of lap 25 of 28. This will probably be, will it be the last lap? I don't know if it will be the last lap behind the safety car, because these cars are still very spread out. Still got a Sauber entering Sector 3 as we speak. So we might just get the maximum of 3 laps behind the safety car. That obviously would shorten our little sprint at the end of the race and call it a 5-lapper. It's most certainly not going to be a 5-lapper. It's going to be shorter than that. Of course, what a late safety car does do most of the time is it really hurts the drivers with penalties. Fortunately, in this race, just 3 drivers accumulating penalties, and they aren't really serious penalties, just 3 seconds apiece. Sometimes you'll find yourself there at the front with a 6-second penalty just after a safety car. You go over the line and lose 4 or 5 positions. Fortunately for us, doesn't look like anyone in the top 10 is going to be decided by penalties. In fact, anyone in the top 12, if they're able to keep things clean at the restart. It'll be Big T, Weeze, Convoy, It's Free, then Spikes. It'll be a top 5, and those top 5 all on a brand new set of soft tyres. Then Pantry Star in P6 on a brand new set of mediums. Interesting. Yes, that means he didn't have a brand new set of softs available. Ronald P7, fresh set of softs. Martin P8, fresh set of mediums. Then Virus and Andre 9 and 10 on the soft. Smurf 11 on the medium. We've got Rhino, Top Gun, Mr. Rem, Awakes all on the soft. Divan on the medium. Chums on the soft. Mark Platoon at the rear of the field. He chose not to pit. If he's in control of that car, probably not. Over a 1-minute gap, that suggests that an AI has been driving that Mercedes for quite some time. Looks like we will get the full allotment of 3 laps behind the safety car. That's Sauber at the rear of the field. He is now a lot closer to the queue. He'll probably catch them in the middle of Sector 2. And we should be underway at the end of this. We're just going to get lap 27, lap 28. It's going to be a 2-lap sprint to the end of the race. So I said it was a 5-lapper. I was wrong. It's not even going to be a 3-lapper. Not even enough time to open up, break DRS, none of that. You're probably going to be in DRS till the end of the race. You're probably going to have somebody in your DRS till the end of the race. It all comes down to this. Everything that's happened before this, any damage you may have gotten, any incidents you may have been involved in, get them out of your head. This is a fresh start. It's a 2-lap race for some serious points. Everybody now needs to just refocus. Not long to go. Approaching Sector 3. At least halfway through that sector we should get some sort of confirmation that the safety car is coming in. There we go, safety car coming in this lap. That means Big T immediately takes control of the field. As soon as that notification comes up, the responsibilities go to the leader of the race, who is now the temporary safety car. He decides when the field goes, when the race begins, or restarts rather. And of course no overtaking till the start-finish line. But first he's backing that field up, wants the safety car to get well out of the way and into the pits. Take control of that field as the temporary safety car, but you still can't pass the safety car, so you have to back off, let that safety car get into the pits. Once he's done that, you can get on with managing things. Do you go early? Do you wait almost till that start finish line? What about catching the rest of the field off guard? And I think may be mistaken. Whoa. Big T said it was about getting the rest of the field off guard. That is getting the field seriously off guard. 2 seconds is the gap into turn 1. Worried about Big T dominating the whole race and then making a mistake at the restart, and he most definitely has not done that. 2 seconds into turn 1, that was the gap. I think what might have happened, Cartoon, the ghosting car, has got involved there at the restart. I wonder if this impeded Weeze and Convoy in any way. Obviously you're not allowed to pass a car before the start finish line, and if that ghost car was just driving ahead of them at a slow speed, means Big T could just disappear into the distance. Well, Weeze, Convoy, It's Free all had to sit patiently behind the Mercedes that had no interest in keeping up with Big T. So great advantage at the restart. Big T 2.5 seconds now the gap. Then it's Weeze, Convoy, and It's Free. Fight for P2. More between Weeze and Convoy. It's Free seems to have dropped off a little already. Convoy doesn't have DRS. He will have it for the last lap of the race. Of course, DRS becomes active 1 lap after the safety car. So no DRS this time round, but he will have 1 stab at it on the last lap of the race. Not much they can do about Big T at this stage. 3 seconds is the gap, and fastest lap to boot at 1:32.8. Those are lap times a lot of drivers can't even do in quali. Convoy to the inside. Can't make it stick, has to pull out of it. What that has done is brought It's Free right back into the battle. So we could have a double McLaren podium, but we could also have a double Aston Martin podium. This is not confirmed. We also have a Ferrari very much in the battle, also on a set of soft tyres. Of course, anything goes wrong here, any sort of collision, you could have a Ferrari on the podium all of a sudden. While these drivers are chasing each other frantically on the final lap, fighting for position, fighting for points, got to keep in mind you can't make a mistake. Go into an opponent. All of this is for 0, all of this is for 0 points. Got to finish the race. Big T, no issues from him. 3.7 seconds up the road. How did that happen? Not sure how that happened. We went from 3.7 seconds up the road to 6.7 seconds up the road. So I'm not sure what happened on our timing screen, and now all sorts of havoc happening at the rear. We're not going to get a safety car because it's so late in the race. We just get a caution. But what happened at the rear? I thought it was an Aston Martin. It was an Aston Martin. It was the Aston Martin of Weeze. Came off second best. In fact, it came off a little worse than that. Weeze, a DNF after such a strong race, and then his teammate also managed to lose a position. Said we might get a shock Ferrari podium. We got a Ferrari shock podium, and a McLaren 1-2. Convoy, V2, Mr. M, your driver of the day. What a race it was. One of the Ferraris got driver of the day, the other driver got a podium. It didn't look like a Ferrari podium until that very last sector. So let's go through the order really quickly. There's a lot of drivers. Big T takes the victory from his teammate Convoy. The gap 6.5 seconds between the two. Also fastest lap for Big T, so maximum points for McLaren on the night, 44 points for them. Then Spikes, brilliant podium for him in P3. Didn't look like he was going to get one, but had a solid P5. Then Ronald, rather It's Free in P4, then Pantry Star P5. Got Ronald in P6, Virus P7, Martin P8, Smurf P9, and Andre was able to hold on to that final point, held on to P10 for a majority of that race. Just outside the points, Big Rhino P11, good result for him. Mr. M P12, Top Gun 13, Chums 14, Divan 15, Awakes 16. And then we had the retirements of Weeze, Harsh Cartoon, Skull, and Disguised Bear. course, now I'll just allow a minute or two to see if anybody decides to join the cool down room. We can obviously bring them into the commentary box for a minute or two and have a chat about the race. Nobody in the cool down room just yet, so we'll just keep an eye on it. Sometimes we get a full cool down room, sometimes nobody shows up. But what's important is that we had a brilliant race. I'm going to give it 2 or 3 minutes. I'll be back with you shortly. Till then, stay with us.
Win in our heads, the engine's din. NFR, let's begin. NFR, lights are green. Zooming fast, sick machine. Every twist, every scene. Catch the action on your screen. NFR, NFR. Yeah, drama high, stars afar, round the track like a shooting star. Feel the rush, NFR. Lap by lap, watch them spin. Victory's close. Who will win? In our heads, the engine's din. NFR, let's begin.
Welcome back, everyone. Doesn't look like we're going to get anyone in the comms box today, but I want to thank everybody who joined the stream. It was a great stream and we had a lot of interaction in the comment section. It was a great race. McLaren versus Aston Martin from beginning to end, and then a safety car right at the end just to mix things up. But Big T made no mistakes at the restart. Maybe a little bit of help from the Harsh Cartoon Ghost car, but nonetheless, McLaren won 2 and a fantastic podium for Ferrari at the end. So congratulations to all the drivers. Congratulations to driver of the day, Mr. M. And thank you to all of you. Of course, if this was your first visit to the channel, remember to subscribe. And if you've been here many times before, remember to leave a like on the video. We'll be back tomorrow night at 8 p.m. That's for SAFRL. That's going to be a mystery track. And then, of course, on Tuesday night again at 8 p.m. League versus League, featuring this league here, SKR, as well as SAFRL, JPR, and LSA. So if I don't see you tomorrow night, I hope to see you on Tuesday. But better yet, I hope to see you on both. Until next time, thanks everyone, and cheers.
SKR in the night air. Race for time, no place for fear. Heroes born right here, right here, right here. Drama spills on asphalt tears. Fast and fierce, they ride the gears. Extreme speed and drama every turn on NFR, the rubber burns. Feel the thrill of every bend where the champions transcend. Feel the power at NFR, burning tracks, driving far, where the races never end. NFR, only friend. Fernando calls the play on NFR every race day. Commentary sharp and loud, hyping up the roaring crowd. Feel the power at NFR, burning tracks, driving far, where the races never end. NFR, only friend. Now Fernando calls the play on NFR at race day. Commentary sharp and loud, hyping up the roaring crowd. Feel the power at NFR, burning tracks, driving far, where the races never end. NFR, only friend. Deaf Queen, the top supporter, see in the crowd where speed is keen. NFR, the place to be. Join the race, watch and see. Engines whir